Hi, everybody. Welcome to Giant TV. This is Paul Hitchcock, the founder and president of Giant Jacks Media. We're helping others to grow and nurture their businesses. And this is my channel where I have really great people doing incredible things. And certainly Tito and AmyK are two of them. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for
Thank you,
having
Paul.
us.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah, I'd like to get into this because Tito is a Vistage Chair doing really great work out of Miami, Florida. AmyK is a communication coach, award-winning international speaker. Really excited about this, and we're going to have a big focus on you, AmyK, and what you're doing around communication with leadership. But Tito, I first want to jump in and have you just mention what you're doing with Vistage in Miami.
thank you, Paul. Yes, I have a group of 15 CEOs and business owners here in Miami where we help each other be better leaders, be more successful personally and professional. And think of we create a very private, a confidential space to help each other out, really.
And Tito, you are geographically specific, right? So you need leaders in your area for your group.
Yes, I am specifically in Coral Gables. I like my members to be close by because we do meet face. Our meetings, our monthly meetings, are face to face.
Okay. And you're meeting as a group once a month?
Yes, we do meet as a group once a month. We have speakers. We have members present their strategic plan. We have members work on any issues or challenges or decisions that they are facing at that point.
Nice. And then beyond the monthly group sessions, and I know a lot about Vistage. I know those are wonderful because everyone's working on their businesses together, but you're doing the one-on-ones with each individual member outside of those group meetings, right?
Correct. Yes, I'm an executive coach as well, and I coach them on a monthly basis for 2 hours at least.
On just issues they're working on, or when you go into those meetings, it's wide open.
Yes, it is wide open. We tackle any big issues that they are facing. They can be business, and also we work on personal business with some of my members. We're working on some personal business because at the end of the day, their personal life does impact their business, and their business impact their personal life. So we do both.
Wonderful. And you have open seats, Tito?
We do have 3 open seats. We are 15, and we're going to go up to 18.
Okay, fantastic. And I want to tell everybody watching this as we start to get into what AmyK's focused on is Tito's information is around this video wherever you're watching it because we simulcast this everywhere on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. I think it's on TikTok as well. But I know Tito, you'll get on a Zoom with anybody and just, get acquainted, talk about what you're doing and so forth.
Definitely, we have what we call introductory calls where we get to know each other and see what we're looking for and see if we both find a fit to work together or not.
Awesome. Okay. Well, AmyK, we're now getting into a lot of communication stuff here. So let's jump over. And we've got some great content I want to ask you about, but do you want to start off by just explaining a bit about your focus?
I focus on communication for the high stakes conversations, whether that's with somebody else or with yourself. So if it's the 3 o'clock in the morning conversation that you're like, okay, I got to stop this narrative in my head, or it's the, hey, I have a serious situation at work, or I have a high stakes conversation in my personal life. I help leaders navigate those because I always say that the life that you desire is on the other side of that tough conversation.
And AmyK, where are your leaders? Are you working with leaders all over the
All over the
US,
globe.
outside? Globe.
All over
Okay.
the globe. So the majority of my work is in the contiguous United States, but I have leaders all over the globe.
Specific industries or diversified?
It's a pretty diverse profile for who I am, but it's usually C-suite.
C-suite. Got it. Okay. All right. Well, we've got some great content. Tito, I know you and I, yeah, we have some questions we want to ask AmyK. Do you want to start off or you want me to start off?
Let me start off.
Go.
I mean, when it comes to difficult conversations, what is the best way to have these difficult conversations with your teammates, with your board of directors, with whomever, in a way that is motivating and not disengaging?
So one of the things that I always joke, Tito, is that real estate, there's location, location, location. And when it comes to communication, there's preparation, preparation, preparation. So The first thing that I always say to leaders, no matter where you are, whether you're a business owner, an emerging entrepreneur, you're seasoned doing this for 30 some plus years, it's really important to sit down and say, what is my intention? Because people know exactly how you want them to feel by what you say and how you say it. So, what is it that I'm going to do to show up? What do I want as an outcome? And then you prepare, and it's not about scripting, Tito. It's more like, here's my opening line, here's my opening framework, here's some of my consistent key messages, here's what I'm hoping to ask. Here's my offer of what like I'm willing to do, or my request from them, what I'm asking them to do. And then really getting clear on what's my ideal outcome, not necessarily long term, but just from this high stakes conversation. What am I looking at that would be forward focused? And I think that one of the things that's really important, you made a very specific word of how do you inspire versus make somebody feel criticized. And I think that that's coming in from a place of inquiry. I'm going to be super curious instead of critical, instead of judgmental. I'm going to really seek to understand. And that's nothing new, except that putting into practice means I'm showing up with questions versus I'm just going to hold a monologue with you and be directive and bossy.
Perfect. So start with the end in mind, basically, as Stephen Covey will say, right?
Yes.
And then work from them. Good. Excellent.
Yeah, can I ask something there? So when AmyK, if it's a negative thing, like there's a mistake made or there's a problem going on and you go into a conversation like that, do you mention the problem, the mistake up front and then address it? Like where does that issue come into play in that agenda?
That's a brilliant question. So that's going to be context dependent on where you are in the series of conversations. So I have an expression that I like: lead with a soft heart, meaning compassion first, and then a firm spine. So I'm not going to be a doormat. I have clear boundaries. I have clear expectations. The one thing, though, that I find fascinating about high performers is if a high performer has a misstep or a mistake, they're more sensitive to criticism than, say, a lower performer. It's just the way they're wired. So to me, be sensitive, lead with that heart, and say things like, here are your strengths. Here's what's working. Here's where we're going. Are we still aligned on our objective and our outcome? What's the benefit to you personally when we meet or exceed that objective or goal? Then I say, now let's talk about concerns. What are your concerns? Here are some of my concerns. And then I ask them, because remember, adults love to be asked more than they love to be told. So what would you like to tweak? What would you be willing to do more of, better, in addition to correct the misstep or correct the mistake? Now, technical foul. Paul and Tito, if this is a misstep that's been repeated or it's like one in a series, then I actually sit down and I have a more direct and clear, transparent conversation. This is not like you is a great magical phrase, or it's not like you too. So help me understand what's going on. By the way, that's a very kind but transparent way to say, this misstep is not normal. It's also not acceptable. So let's find out what's going on and let's fix it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Love it. Tito?
No, I just, Amy, I can be here with you for 2 hours and ask a zillion questions. Right? When you think of a mastermind group as Vistage, what is the biggest value that you guys receive from this experience?
I'm deferring to you, AmyK, on the entire question. You go.
Okay, so speaking, Tito, of 2 hours, I could talk about the value of Vistage for 2 hours. It's that rich. So for me personally, I was a member for well over 8 years. And one of the biggest values that you get is from the diversity and the perspectives that are around the table that help you solve your problems faster and more effectively. So I'll bring out the nerd in me. If we go back to Socrates, Socrates is famous for asking, what am I missing? And Vistage does a really brilliant job of helping you answer that question from all the diverse perspectives, expertise, and genius sitting around the table. You'll know I'm sincere about this when I say I was a speaker for Vistage for 22 years. The speakers are a nice to have. They're an absolute value on benefit, but the richness of the executive session, the problem solving, and the people sitting at the table and the quality of the chair are what make Vistage so fabulously helpful and beneficial.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of my colleagues who's been in Vistage for 28 years said, I think maybe AmyK, I brought this up to you earlier, is he's very successful and people ask him, why are you in Vistage? And he says, because I get to learn about so many other businesses that are unrelated to mine. And I always learn something new because I don't know those businesses. And it just, he said it's helped him and his business tremendously over the years, just hearing how other people are doing their thing.
So that's one of the things that when I give a keynote on innovation, I talk about borrowing from other industries. So one of the key points, and Paul, you just hit this nail on the head, is if I go out and I study the competition within my industry and then I adapt, that's important, but I'm not leading, I'm following. When I look at what every other industry in the world is doing and I borrow from those other industries, whether it's, biomimicry or it's supply chain and logistics from a different world, and I bring it back to my own, now I'm innovating more quickly and I'm leading. I'm actually ahead of that S curve versus following.
I mean, let me ask you one more question. What is it to be a female in these mastermind groups?
Well, first of all, it's fabulous, but let's dive into why. So, I'm going to start with statistics for those that like facts. So, sadly, and I am saying this is an unfortunate thing, 71% of the C-suite in the United States today, 71% is male. And 29% is female. And of those 29%, 22% is white women. So women of color make it an even smaller percentage, which is so frustrating for me because we know we've got research from McKinsey, we've got research from Accenture, we've got research from the Global Leadership Institute that companies, their net margins are greater when they have a higher percentage of women in these roles. We also know, and I find this fascinating, that companies are more innovative, as they would say in the UK, they're more innovative when they also have women in leadership and management positions. And so to me, what I love what Vistage is saying is we understand the import of women. We want you in our groups. We want to support you. We want you to be a significant contributor. I felt unbelievably supported. Every man in the room was 1,000% committed to my success. They knew the value that a diverse female perspective would play. And so I always felt inclusive. One of the things, Tito, that I'll also share is when I started speaking for Vistage, which would have been early 2000s, it was very difficult to find a woman in a group. And that has completely shifted. Can we add more women? Yes. Should we be adding more women? Absolutely. But we are seeing that shift. And what's fascinating is a lot of my coaching clients are saying that more and more women are joining their Vistage groups. And it's just a fantastic way of expanding the conversation and getting, again, another perspective, which makes them understand their customers, their employees, and their boards better.
Awesome.
Yeah, Tito, are you looking for female entrepreneurs in your group?
Definitely, I love to have more females in my group. It'll make us much more stronger as we increase the diversity in the group. I mean, females bring a complete different perspective, how they see the world, how they act on things. So having that mixture of different perspectives is just such a huge value to all of us.
And I'm going to, Tito, I'm going to add a layer to that I think is really important. The fact that you are welcoming of women, and so many Vistage chairs are, women need allies. And so just the gift of having a mentor, somebody who may have had more experience, who has a better industry knowledge, when they're on your side cheering you on, everybody rises.
Excellent.
Well said. Well said. I've got one here that, AmyK, you're talking to a lot of leaders everywhere. And what is hot right now with the challenges, themes you're hearing from them? Like what's sizzling white hot?
Well, I'm sure nobody's heard about this, but there's this thing called artificial intelligence. So
Really?
it is keeping a lot of leaders up at night. And what's fascinating, Paul, you've heard me say this before too. I joke that like there are some leaders out there that are like, clutching their pearls and wringing their hands. But what's fascinating is I think there's this bigger, better, bolder question. And so for Tito, encouraging you to take it back to your group, anybody who's listening to this, AI is here to stay. The train has left the station and it's a bullet train, right? But bringing back to your own leadership team these bigger, badder, better, bolder questions, such as what is the most effective role for AI in our company within the next 12 months? And then revisiting that on a yearly basis as it continues to grow. How do we stay human centric in an AI shifting world? Like right there, you're going to have this robust dialogue to say, how are we using it? What's the most effective role? How do we continue to keep our human essence as we grow? And especially as agentic AI is taking off, I think these two questions are more important than ever.
Awesome. Great advice.
Tito, are you seeing that? And as you're in your own group, leaders talking about AI?
Definitely, AI is a key topic of discussion, literally in every meeting, because, like Amy said, this is a train that is left the station. The station is a bullet.
Yeah, yeah.
Train. So it's you gotta keep up with it. You gotta stay ahead of it.
And it's interesting, Tito, that same kind of energy, though, of like feeling like the world is just spinning is also one of the biggest issues that leaders are dealing with right now. And that is how to become mindful, how to slow down, how to not have the anxiety, the stress, and the worry take over. And it's not trite when I say that slowing down and really getting present is more important than ever. And so a lot of the work that I see leaders investing in is themselves to say, hey, all these 90-mile-an-hour routines, I need to figure out what's most important and make it more of a sacred ritual so that I can actually be the leader that shows up and I'm the calm and the clarity in the room and not the person that's freaking out.
That's such a great point, Amy. And what we talk about is how do we differentiate the noise from the music? Because there's tremendous amount of noise out there that is really noise. And what is at the core of the business that AI is really gonna help us be more successful and achieve our strategic objectives.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. And I want to say here as we're hitting the ceiling that for those watching also, AmyK's information is going to be around this video too. I was for sure get connected to both of them. And want to thank both of you for being here. I know we could go on forever. This is such a fascinating topic. AmyK and Tito, very generous with your time. Thanks for being here. I know we're going to keep talking.
Thank you.
Thank you. Amazing conversation. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Amy.
All right. We'll see you soon.